Well, hey crafty friends, it's Hiedi Scott with DiyDreaming, and today we're going to do something kind of unusual. We are going to do flower pounding, and specifically we're going to be pounding some pansies and making some beautiful art. We're going to combine a little watercolor painting, some torn edges, and this is one example of what the finished project could look like. This says, "She is clothed with strength and dignity," Proverbs 31, verse 25. I'll go over everything that you need. Most of it's pretty accessible. We're gonna be using a hammer and a cutting board and some masking tape, and it should just be really fun. So as you are hopping on, say hello, let me know where you're watching from. Feel free to sprinkle all that normal good stuff. Okay, let me clear out my space just a little bit. All right. Oh dang, this one has a chip. I don't know if you guys remember when I had my big score of Christmas clearance at Walmart for 90% off, and I picked up 2 of these little frames that you can either hang or set up. Well, this is kind of what inspired me, and I was thinking about flower pounding, and I was thinking about the sort of the Victorian look of pressed flowers. So, okay, so let's start at the very beginning. First thing is we're going to be using watercolor paper. This is really heavy weight. I don't think you can do this project like we're going to do the watercolor part on the second one with a regular piece of paper. It's going to need to be watercolor paper. And this is 8x8. It's Grumbacher brand, and I got mine at Walmart. This is just a nice little size. We're gonna use some watercolors that I picked this up because my other one was looking pretty pitiful. This was from when my boys were little and actually liked to do arts and crafts at home. So I got a new one from Dollar Tree for $1.25. And but first thing you're gonna do is decide what size you want your paper to be. And I'm gonna show you a trick for tearing watercolor paper. I also have a new trick for pounding flowers, and it makes a huge difference. Oh my gosh. We have pounded flowers here, which sounds so strange, at DiyDreaming before we did it. I think it was last summer. And it mostly just kind of looked like a squished mess. This new thing I'm going to show you, actually, you will be able to see the stain that comes out of the pansies in the shape of a pansy. Okay, so this is what was inside of this. And this is about the size I want my paper to be. So I'm just going to lay it down, and I'm going to trace a little bit bigger than the size of this. And then we'll tear it a little bit smaller. So this heavy watercolor paper can be hard to tear, but I have a little trick. If you just take some water and a paintbrush and you apply some water where you're going to want to tear it, and you let it kind of soak in for just a second, then it does make it a little bit easier to tear. I don't know, there might be a tool or something that you could use for tearing paper, but this is kind of a old-fashioned look, and so I didn't want my edges to be, cut straight. I wanted it to look nice, and I probably have some scissors that could do something interesting, but I just wanted to show you how to tear. So let me get some water on here. All right, it's wet. And it doesn't matter if the rest of this gets wet because I'm going to make it wet in a few minutes. So now I'm just going to start tearing just inside of my pencil outline. And if you get any weird little spikes, like this one right here, you can come back and fix that and just tear it a little bit straighter so it doesn't look like it's crazy. So let's get it torn. So tell me in the comments if you have ever done flower pounding, or even if you've ever even heard of it. I'm always looking for crafts that are gonna be meaningful and that are maybe a little different. And last summer, I think it was, my hydrangeas in the backyard, oh my gosh, they were so beautiful. I'm kind of worried about them this summer because I live in the suburbs of Atlanta and we had some super cold weather that's not normal for us this winter. So I don't know if they're gonna do anything or not, but okay, so I've got it torn the size that I want it. And now I want to add a little bit of color to it. So the pansies are purple, so I'm just going to use a little purple paint. And basically this is just tap water. Here's my purple watercolor. First thing you want to do is spritz your paper so it's wet when you lay on your watercolor. And I'm not coloring the whole entire thing. I'll hold it up in a second. I'm just doing the center square. Okay, so I've just kind of moved it around. And this is what it's looking like. And I'm just going to use a hairdryer here real quick to dry it, and then we'll go on to the next step, which is the flower pounding. So we're building something like this, but we're going to have it have a purple background. All right, before I came live, I did one. This is the one I did before that's 100% dry. This one's still drying, okay? And the first thing I'm going to do, so I know where I'm going, is I'm going to apply my stencil. And today I'm using this one that says Pray. But for this other one, I used the Proverbs 31 quad set. I used this one. She is clothed in strength and dignity, Proverbs 31:25. And there are different ones. This one says, she is far more precious than jewels. This one says, the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. And this one says, her children rise up and call her blessed. Those are super nice too. So, okay. So I'm going to use this one, and I am going to fuzz it because I don't want it to pull up the top layer of my watercolor paper. If you hopped on late, great question, Michelle. I was just about to answer that. If you didn't start at the very beginning, you can always come back and watch from the beginning and see every little bit of this. But this is the paper we're using. It's 140 pound 8x8 Grumbacher watercolor paper. I got this at Walmart. It's really heavy. It's super nice paper. And for smaller projects, you don't feel like you're wasting a huge sheet. So, okay, so this says P-R-A-Y, and then it has a little box around it that we're going to do, but we're not going to do this little garland or whatever you would call this thing right here. And now the tricky part. I want it to be pretty centered and pretty straight. And I can always tear my paper if it's a little off or something. I think this is going to be fine. Okay, so I'm just pushing my stencil down, and I have decided to use this gray chalk paste, which is called Cool Gray. And we're going to just do the P-R-A-Y, and then we're going to do the box, not the little garland here. So I'm going to start with that so I don't forget. Okay, I'm just pulling off the big globs. And then we'll pull it up and hopefully it's going to look good. That's what it looks like. You can see I did not do this part of the stencil. And then I'm going to pull it up slowly. Get a speck of it on the edge. I did, darn it. Pulling it up slowly. These stencils, when they are brand new, are super sticky. And they can have a tendency to pull up paint or to pull up the top layer of paper if you don't get them fuzzed well enough. This is going to be awesome. Okay, I'm going to throw this over here in my little tub of water. And just close up my chalk paste. We're going to dry it, and then we're going to start flour pounding. And I'm going to show you this tip that I did not do last year when I did flour pounding. Let me get this off my fingers. That I think makes a big difference. Also, it's important what kind of flour you choose. It needs to be a flour that's going to have a good amount of pigment. Okay, everything's flying off my desk. Get some things tacked down. So much to everyone who did stars. Yes, today is the drawing, and I'm getting ready for that. Joanna. If you're watching this video on replay sometime later, just disregard what I just said about a drawing, because it's only pertinent if you're watching live. This to be 900% dry. Thank you, Angela, for the stars, and thank you everyone else who did stars. I didn't see the first ones. Okay, so this is the one I made yesterday in preparation for today. And then I thought, wouldn't it be pretty? And this was one of the Proverbs 31 quad stencils. And I used black chalk paste. But I was thinking, wouldn't it be pretty with a light purple watercolor background? So that, if you missed that part, I showed how to do this. I also gave you a really great tip on how to make tearing this heavyweight watercolor paper a little bit easier. Okay, I think we're mostly fine. All right, so then, let me get my scissors. The next thing you want to do is you want to choose your flowers. And pansies work great because they're super pigmented. So I'm going to choose 3 flowers. And I think one of them's going to be this little purple pansy right here. I will put this pot outside after I'm done with this project. And, you know, I'll have beautiful pansies for this time of year. In Georgia, that's a flower that people use this time of year. And I'm going to choose a yellow one. And then this pot doesn't have very many of this orange, but I'm going to try this one. Okay, and you do want to clip this little stem off if you can. So it's pretty short. Okay, so in the past, what I have done when I did flower pounding is I just put some parchment paper over my project with the flowers, you know, turned face down on it. And it kind of just smooshes it all over. And so I thought, well, let's try and see what happens with masking tape. I do have one word of caution with masking tape though, is you need to get some of the stick off of it, because when I used it yesterday, there's one little teeny place where it kind of pulled up a little bit of the paper. So you're going to use small pieces, and I'm going to fuzz it on my jeans just to make it a little teeny bit less sticky. You know what? These jeans are leaving a lot of fuzz. Let's fuzz it on a fuzzing towel. That makes more sense, right? I don't want this dark fuzz that's coming off of this pair of jeans to be on my project. So I'll do a couple pieces at the same time. This masking tape here has been in my cabinet for several years. If you have some of that low tack, like frog tape, that might work better. But this is what I have on hand, so this is what I'm using today. Okay, so I'm going to start with the inside, the center piece flower, which for me is this purple pansy. And I'm just going to put it right there. And I'm pushing it down. And I am putting the tape on it. Let's go the other direction. This might not be big enough. I don't think it is. Let me get one more little piece. And then when you pull it up, wait, where's the start? Here. You want to really go slow and be gentle so that you don't pull up the top layer of your paper. Okay. So this probably looks really strange. All right. Then I am using a cutting board and a paper towel and this little hammer. If you have a rubber mallet, you could do that too, or if you just have a big hammer, you could do that. So you want to start at the center of the flower, and I can kind of feel where that is, and work out. Instead of doing a whole bunch of really hard wax, we're just going to go slow. And looking at it, down here I did not really get. Okay, so now I'm going to flip it over and give it just a couple of whacks from the back. I've got it so flat I can't even feel where it is. Okay, that's what it looks like. All right, and then you want to very gently pull your tape up. Oh, it looks good. Do you guys think this is a silly project? I just like to do things that are different. And I know pansies are kind of a, you know, a pretty basic flower. So they're not super special, but I love flowers. We do a ton of flower projects here at DiyDreaming, and I thought this would be something fun and different to do, so therefore we're doing it. Okay, so I have my tape, so it's, you know, loose. I'm going to lift this off. Oh my gosh, it looks fabulous. Okay, yesterday I tried on another piece of paper to see if I could use this same flower and pound it a second time. No, it did not work. All right, there's going to be a little teeny bit of flower matter on here, but look, you can even see. Isn't that pretty? Okay, now I'm going to dry it before I move on to do the next ones next to it. Pansies are so little that I don't know, I might need more than 3, but we'll see. Okay, let's get some tape. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be smart this time. I'm going to fuzz a long piece all at once and then tear it into smaller pieces. How does that sound? Doesn't that make sense? Oops. I do think this would be better. Oh, Sharon says it's beautiful. Thank you. Oh my gosh, and more people did stars. Thank you so much. That's one of the ways that I am able to keep doing crafts, because obviously yesterday I had to go out and find some pansies, and all they had were these teeny tiny little ones at Home Depot. You know, and that was $16. Which we'll enjoy it at our house as well. But anyway, so I appreciate those stars. That's one way that I'm able to keep doing these crafts here. Okay, so I think this is going to work much better to have fuzzed a longer piece. And just want these petals to come full out. I may have fuzzed it too much. We'll see. I'm going to try not to put my tape over the area where the other flower is. And I'll just be super careful with that spot. Okay, let's pound. pencil's not going as flat. Let's flip it over. Lay it on something. Okay, let's see if it worked. I don't think I did an orange flower yesterday. I just did purple and yellow, so I hope the orange ones look as good. Yes, it does. If you don't have something like this that came from Walmart to put it in, you could just put it in a frame, or you could attach it to a wood board or something. It doesn't have to go inside of this. Okay, this one is messy. Hopefully it's gonna look good once I get all the stuff off of it. If not, I can do a yellow flower sort of over the top of that. When I'm all done, I will just use my fingernails to kind of scrape up some of that, the pulp from the flower that's kind of stuck on here. All right, tape. So I think this method holds your flowers perfectly in place using tape instead of just laying a paper towel or a piece of parchment paper or wax paper over the top of it. I think it works better, but it would be better to have tape that wasn't so sticky because I don't want to pull up the top layer of my watercolor paper. And but right now what I have in the house is this masking tape, so that's what we're using. If you had some of that painter's tape stuff like that frog tape or something that's not super sticky, that would work better. All right. The more you can have that flower fully stuck onto your paper. Could you press and seal? I don't know what that is exactly. You know what? Anything's worth a try once, though. That's how I feel about crafting. So maybe. Precious memories, thank you. Yeah, this reminds me of my grandmother. Her name was Louise, but the grandchildren called her Mamu, and she was a teacher and a book lover, and she was the lady that gave me those vintage dictionary, encyclopedia things that I craft with a lot. Anyways, I inherited most of her books. Nobody else was really interested, and a lot of them have pressed flowers inside of them, which is just so sweet. She loved flowers. Maybe that's where I got my love for flowers too. I don't know. So what I like about this little hammer, and if you're using a bigger hammer, I just like that it's flat, so I'm not denting my paper. I'm just doing flat smacks. Okay, let's see how this one looks. I'm going to start from this side because this one's wanting to pull up. So if you guys decide to do pounded pansies, that's what I'm calling it. If you decide to do pounded pansies, I'd love to see what you make, because this is just one idea for a project. There's a lot of different things that you could do. Let's see one little area that I... idea where this hammer came from. It was in the toolbox in the garage. I don't know if... I have just absolutely no idea. Okay. So, let me just give it a little air. You could do this idea with leaves also. And I think, honestly, that this would be prettier if I had some bigger, juicier pansies, but it's still pretty early in the season for flowers in Georgia, and so I just had to get what I could find. Okay, so let's put it inside this and just see how it looks. Then I could come back and add some more if I felt like it needed it. All right, like I said at the start of this video, this little glass, it's two-sided glass piece. It has a hanger and it has a little stand. It came from Walmart this year. I picked it up during their 90% off Christmas sale. I'm just taking the back piece off. It was like $8.98 regular, and I paid 89 cents. Because everything, when I was there last week, all the Christmas was 90% off. Okay, this has a piece of two-sided tape on it. I'm just going to use that. Glass is something that really does bother me if there's fingerprints and stuff on it. That's one of my little pet peeves. That and tags. So I will come back and touch up this glass. Because that would bother me. And here we go. Let me turn off my ring light for a second. And we'll look at these two. They're finished. I think having the ring light off will help a little bit. Let's see. We made this one today. I opted to do the little purple watercolor background, and at the start of this video I showed you how to make it easier to tear heavy duty watercolor paper. And this is the one I made yesterday without any purple background. And this one has 5 pansies on it. So what do you think? Which one do you like the best? I would love to know. Do you like the one that has the purple? Or do you like the one better that has the white background? So I used a stencil for this one that says pray, and then this one is a Proverbs 31 stencil that comes in a 4-pack. I used black chalk paste on this one and gray on this one. This was my watercolor, masking tape, some pansies, and this was the paper that I used in case you wanted to know what the supplies were. Anyways, I hope you liked this idea. I just thought it would be fun to do something a little different, and this is definitely different. Helga says she's loving the idea. Very pretty, Marcia says, glad to learn a different pounding method. Well, Marcia, tell me, what pounding method do you have? Kathleen says she likes the white background better. Yeah, it's totally personal preference. I just wanted to do a little something different to give you, another idea today. But I'm pretty happy with how they turned out, and I hope you liked the project. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Do a this or a this, or say something to me in the comments if you think you would like to see this page come by your Facebook feed ever again. Those things tend to increase the odds that Facebook will show it to you. It's not guaranteed for some reason, but and check to see if you've liked and followed this page. If you want links to any of the supplies, or you just want the supply list, just let me know. You can say link or supplies or whatever, and I will be glad to get that for you. And I'm so sorry. That was my phone ringing. I possibly will be back again today. We'll see if I can get this next thing ready to go. But I hope that you have a blessed and wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you again here at DIY Dreaming.